Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Mediocre Military Modeling. And today we're going to be looking at a Tamiya classic. This is the Hanomag, I believe that's how you pronounce it, sdkfz 251/1. This is a classic kit, I think from the 1970s, unless I'm mistaken. And this can be found very cheaply. You can find this it's usually always available, and usually for around 20 bucks, give or take. I actually found mine sealed in the box at Goodwill for like $2.99. So this is actually one of the first, when I got back into scale modeling maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, this is either the first or second model that I put together. It might have been last video, so this is episode 20. Yay, big 20. Episode 19, we looked at a M48A2, the old monogram kit. That was either my first or second. It was either that or this one that I put together. Now, that one I eventually sort of like redid. This one I have not redone. This is pretty much how I did it originally. So when I put this thing together, I didn't have a lot of like experience in scale modeling. I didn't have an airbrush. This was all hand painted. So this machine, of course, it's a half track. Half tracks are kind of interesting because they kind of came and went. They were around. They made a good appearance in World War II, and then I believe that might be the only war that they were used in any kind of significant number. They just kind of went away after that. So this guy here was kind of the half-track workhorse of the German army. Obviously carried troops around through pretty much all of the theaters in the war. And late in the war, the Germans, they were pretty desperate for, machines. And I believe they even mounted like 88s in the back of this thing. I don't think the suspension really could handle it, but they were desperate to put, whatever kind of firepower in the field that they could. So a lot of little interesting variations of this, but this is kind of the most common variation, just kind of like a troop transport for like mechanized infantry. So let's take a bit of a closer look here. So when I did this, I kind of wanted to paint it as on the Eastern Front. So this is late war, three color scheme camo here. The typical like Dunkelgelb, olive green, and then red brown. I used Tamiya paints. Now these were the original Tamiya paint colors. They've refreshed all these colors. They have like Dunkelgelb 2 and olive green 2 and red brown 2, and they're supposed to be more accurate, but at the time I didn't know. This is just what I had, and I don't think it looks bad. Obviously not a ton of weathering here, a little bit of dirt around the wheels and whatnot, but not too bad. Now if you do look close, you can kind of see the brush strokes. Again, this was all hand done. And I don't think it looks great, but for kind of like a first attempt here and using sort of like your own, like not an airbrush, I don't think it looks bad, but not fantastic. If you look inside, I used a different color paint. So I believe this is Vallejo Desert Sand color, because I was impatient. I didn't have the Dunkelgelb yet, and I was working on this, so I just painted the interior like with the Vallejo Desert Sand. So it doesn't look terrible, but it is not accurate. I guess afterwards I just never bothered to go back in and paint it over with Dunkelgelb. But I don't think it looks horrible, but again, not super accurate. This is a pretty simple kit. I think I put it together in like one night. So not a ton to it, pretty good for a beginner. One simple thing you can do with this kit that I'd suggest doing is, for the track here, these are rubber band vinyl tracks, super glue them down, because if you don't, they're going to be like way up here, and it's not going to look very realistic because obviously there's weight to these, and they were down, gravity and the weight would push them down on these wheels here. So you might want to super glue it down so it doesn't look kind of weird. You want that sag, definitely. So that's just a simple thing you can do with this kit just to make it look a little bit more realistic. Alright, so this kit in general, I think this is a good kit for beginners. It's a little different than like your tank, your average tank, so it might be a little bit more interesting of something to put together for a beginner, but it's still like pretty easy. The back door, I remember this back door that opens did give me a little bit of trouble. Again, I was very new at modeling, but that's probably the only somewhat tricky part to this kit, and I don't even think that's really a tricky part, really. But other than that, yeah, easy kit to put together. A little bit more interesting than just another, tank. So, yeah, I would recommend this as a kit for a beginner. Now, how did I do on this kit? Of course, here at Mediocre Military Modeling, we have 3 scores. A artistically inclined 5th grader can do better, gave it that good old college try, and certified mediocre. I'm trying to be a little bit stricter on myself. I could be lenient because this was like the first or second model I put together when I got back into modeling. I should be lenient on myself, but it's not great. Like I said, some of the colors I didn't do right. It's pretty rough. Not really any weathering other than the wheels, which that's not a big deal. But a lot of like the brush marks, especially on the front here, it's good. But I'm gonna be a little bit hard on myself here, and I'm gonna give this a artistically inclined 5th grader can do better. So, yep, that is the Hanomag 251/1 good beginner kit. You could probably put this thing together a lot better than I have here. But yeah, thanks for watching episode 20, and I've got a lot more for us. So I'll see you in the next video.